After 7 nights of tears, the new governess revealed a heartwarming secret that changed lives. Emma rubbed her tired eyes, staring out of the window at the opulent Harrington estate, marbled floors, crystal chandeliers, and manicured gardens that smelled of roses and wealth. She was just a single mother from the other side of town, struggling to make ends meet while working 2 jobs. Yet, here she was, the new governess for the Harrington children. Could this be her shot at a better life for her spirited 7-year-old daughter, Lily? That dream left her breathless. Excitement twisted with anxiety, her heart pounding every time she stepped into the house. The staff whispered behind her back, their murmurs sharp and stinging. "Look at her wearing last year's outfits," they'd say. She could feel the judgment hanging in the air like thick fog. But she pushed through, wanting to be a role model for Lily, an example of determination even when the odds stacked high against her. One day, while tending to the kids, she heard the Harringtons in the drawing room. Their laughter turned bitter, seeping through the grandeur of the mansion. "Can you believe they let someone like that into our home?" a voice sneered. Emma's heart dropped. The cruel remarks about her financial struggles punched through her resolve, leaving her breathless. What right did they have to judge her, a woman trying to give her daughter a fighting chance? Tears pricked her eyes. But then, a faint echo of her late mother's voice floated to the surface, reminding her of resilience. "You are stronger than you think, Emma," her mother used to say. With renewed passion, she turned her heartache into purpose. Emma engaged the Harrington children with creativity, introducing games laced with lessons, each smile she received from them shining like gold. They loved her unique approach, dissolving the chill around her slowly. Days turned to nights filled with heartwarming laughter, their innocent giggles replacing the sorrow she had felt. Every moment with the children rekindled the fading flame of hope inside her. Yet, the weight of disdain from the adults hung over her like a rain cloud. She longed to break through the invisible walls separating her world from theirs, but each day was a different battle. On the 7th sleepless night, a sense of urgency pulled her into the mansion's attic, dust swirling like memories long forgotten. There, wrapped in yellowed paper, she found an inconspicuous letter. As she read, a thread connecting her family to the Harringtons snapped tight. Secrets emerged from the past, shocking her to the core. These revelations promised to shatter the social divide, to intertwine their fates as if destiny itself was weaving a tapestry of lives. With her heart racing, Emma considered the possibility: could this letter resolve the conflict? Or would it deepen their divides even further? The air surged with anticipation. Would the Harringtons finally understand her struggles? Would they embrace the truth behind the facade of wealth and privilege? Emma clutched the letter, daring to dream once again as the inked words pulsed with hope. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emma stood at the crossroad of change, heart pounding, wondering if she had the strength to forge a new path. Could unlocking this secret reshape their lives forever, or cast her into deeper shadows? The story lingered in a moment of uncertainty, held tight by the fragile thread of hope, leaving her breathless as dawn approached, revealing the light that could guide her way. As dawn spilled through the attic window, the soft rays illuminated the letter in Emma's hands. Her heart raced, fear and excitement mingling like two dancers in a storm. This letter held the key to something bigger than herself, something that could change everything. With hesitant fingers, she smoothed the wrinkled paper, her eyes tracing the elegant script. Each word felt heavy with history, and she couldn't shake the nagging thought: what would happen if she revealed this to the Harringtons? Shaking her head, Emma tucked the letter deep in her pocket, resolving to think it through. She couldn't let the weight of the past dictate her present. Instead, her thoughts turned to Lily. What would this change mean for her daughter? Would it shatter the dreams Emma harbored for their brighter future? The kids burst into the room, laughter spilling like sunlight as they tripped over each other, eager to escape into the garden. Their joy was infectious, pulling Emma from her swirling thoughts. A fleeting smile crossed her face as she watched their innocence. She couldn't let the grown-up world tarnish this purity. They needed her to be strong. So she pushed thoughts of the letter aside and stepped into role of the cheerful governess. As the children darted outside, Emma's resolve strengthened. She engaged them in a game of hide and seek, laughter ringing through the air. Moments like these felt beautiful, reminding her why she had taken this job. But even as their giggles filled the air, a shadow loomed in the back of her mind. The letter's promises tugged at her heart, its revelations promising a connection that felt like it could bridge an insurmountable divide. Later, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky crimson, Emma found a quiet moment alone. Time slipped by as she replayed the memories attached to the letter, the family name, the laughter of relatives long forgotten, and the surprise twist that could upend everything she thought she knew about herself. She sighed, fighting off the temptation to open the letter once more. Would this truth bring acceptance? Or would it stoke the fires of resentment that simmered beneath the mansion's polished surface? Her mind drifted to the adults, to whispers spiraling around her like a noose. They viewed her as an outsider, a threat. Would revealing their shared heritage change that view? Or would it make her a target? Emma brought her hand to her heart, feeling it race with discontent. She took a deep breath, steeling herself to confront the truth. But then the door creaked open. It was Mr. Harrington, his presence commanding even the shadows around him. "What are you doing up here?" he asked, his tone curious yet stern, like a professor checking on a student. Caught off guard, Emma stammered, "Just, looking for some old toys for the children." He narrowed his eyes, searching her face for answers. "You should be focused on them, not wandering around alone." A soft annoyance flickered within her. "They're fine," she replied, lifting her chin. "They're playing outside." Mr. Harrington studied her for a moment. "Let them be children, Ms. Clark. They need freedom, not another adult's worries shadowing them." Her heart beat faster, caught somewhere between frustration and admiration. His words had a weight, hovering like an unsaid invitation. What if she sharpened her resolve and stood her ground, not just as the governess but as a voice that mattered? The question settled in the air, heavy with import. Did she dare to confront the man who upheld the walls around her? A moment stretched, filled with unspoken tension. Would she share her secret, or would she let the chance slip through her fingers? "Mr. Harrington," she began, her voice trembling, "there is something I need to tell you." Just then, the children burst in, their faces aglow with the excitement of a new adventure, cutting through the charged atmosphere. Emma held her breath, the moment shattered but not lost. The dance between fear and courage continued as they pulled her away, their laughter echoing in her heart. What had she been about to reveal? Would she find the words to share the truth? Could she bridge the divide in just one moment? Emma felt the thrill of something remarkable stirring within her, as if she stood on the precipice of fate's decision. The sun dipped below the horizon, shadows stretching long across the rooms. The night whispered of possibilities ahead, enveloping Emma in a thick blanket of hope and uncertainty. What awaited her as she gathered her strength to face the Harringtons? Would this be the night her life began to change irrevocably? The laughter of the children faded into the background, but Emma's heart was still racing, her gaze shifting back to Mr. Harrington. The glimmer of something unspoken hung between them, like a thread waiting to be pulled taut. But the children, alive with joy, were tugging her away, pulling her into their playful world. "Come on, Emma. We found a secret spot by the old oak tree." One of them shouted, excitement sparkling in their eyes. Emma forced a smile, the sacred moment slipping through her fingers like sand. "All right, lead the way," she called back, masking her tumultuous emotions behind a facade of cheerfulness. As they rushed into the garden, colors lit up like a painting come to life. Sunshine bathed the flowers in hues of vibrant yellows, soft pinks, and deep purples. She forced herself to focus on the present, on these precious children who needed her now. As they settled beneath the sprawling branches of the oak, one of the girls pulled out a small bouquet of flowers, offering it to Emma with wide, hopeful eyes. "Look what I found. Aren't they pretty?" The innocence of the gesture struck Emma like a gentle wave. The sweetness sparked a moment of clarity, and she felt warmth spread through her chest. "They're beautiful, just like you," Emma said, her heart swelling with tenderness. It was moments like this that had drawn her to this job, a chance to be a part of something pure and real. Nonetheless, the letter loomed like a storm cloud, darkening her thoughts. The children chattered about their new secret hideout, voices racing above the rustle of leaves in the gentle breeze. But as they played, Emma's focus wandered. She could envision a life where she belonged, where there were no whispers of doubt or judgment. But would that happen if she revealed the truth hidden within the pages of that letter? "Emma, come play with us," called another child, her eyes shining with the weight of undiluted joy. The invitation pulled at Emma's heartstrings, reigniting her spirits even as uncertainty loomed on the horizon. "Just a moment. I need to check for something," she replied, her heart split between the urge to keep secrets and the push to share everything with the Harringtons. The contradiction between her own desires and the reality of her world gnawed at her insides like a persistent itch. As dusk crept into the garden, painting everything in shades of twilight, Emma made a decision. She had to speak to Mr. Harrington that evening. It felt like a turning point, something that could either anchor her in joy or drag her into despair. With the children tucked into bed after a long day of laughter, Emma found a moment of solitude in the dimly lit hallway. She could hear the soft hum of Mr. Harrington's footsteps approaching. Her heart thundered as she prepared her words. "Mr. Harrington," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "there's so much you don't know about me." About our connection. He paused, a shadow flitting across his features as he turned to her, curiosity mingling with caution. "What do you mean, Miss Clark?" His posture was probing, eyes dancing between intrigue and trepidation. Emma's heart raced as she took a step closer, the truth pooling behind her eyes like a gathering storm. "I found something that might change everything for both of us." The tension turned tangibly electric, the air thick with anticipation. With her heart laid bare and courage rising, she felt ready to unravel the knots that had held her tight for too long. Would she finally share the truth? Could this be the moment everything changed? Emma felt the weight of her words pressing against her throat, releasing a flood of emotions she had held back for so long. The night breathed around them, pregnant with possibility. Emma could almost see the paths ahead branching wider as she prepared to reveal the hidden truths of her past. Would they build a bridge to understanding, or would the revelations cast her out into the cold? The answer lingered in the air. Emma steadied her breath, willing herself to speak. Was this the moment she had been waiting for? Emma's breath caught in her throat, the weight of her words pressing like a stone. Mr. Harrington's gaze remained fixed on her, a mix of concern and curiosity swirling within his deep-set eyes. She opened her mouth, willing the truth to surface, but the words felt trapped, tangled in the web of her fears. "Emma, please," he urged, his voice softening after a moment of silence. "Whatever it is, I'm here to listen." His reassurance wrapped around her like a warm blanket. She remembered the children laughing, their innocence reflecting a purity she longed to protect. But what would they think if they knew? What would Mr. Harrington think? She started again, the words finally breaking free. "I found a letter. It was hidden in the attic." She paused, watching Mr. Harrington's expression shift. "It talked about our families, about our pasts." His brow furrowed, attention sharpening. "Our pasts? Emma, what does that mean?" Gulping hard, Emma continued. "They were connected long before we came into each other's lives. You have a family history tied to mine, something that might explain this pull between us." Confusion flickered in his eyes, followed by a dawning realization. "You mean the Harringtons and the Clarks?" I didn't know there was a connection. There are things written in that letter that could explain so much, she murmured. About my father and your mother. I think they knew each other. Emma felt vulnerable, standing before him with her heart on her sleeve. Mr. Harrington shifted his weight, clearly wrestling with the implications. Why didn't you say anything sooner? I wasn't sure how to. What if I was wrong? What if it changed everything between us? His gaze softened as he took a step closer. Emma, the truth has a way of forging connections, not severing them. If this is true, we need to understand it together. She met his eyes, brimming with gratitude and a flicker of hope. You really want to know? Absolutely, he said, conviction lacing his tone. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. With newfound courage, Emma pulled the wrinkled letter from her pocket. The page trembled slightly in her hand as she offered it to him, fingers brushing against his. It felt electric, like the spark of an unseen current coursing between them. He took the letter and unfolded it, scanning the words with a sense of urgency. As he read, the expression on his face shifted. Emma could see the wheels of thought turning in his mind, piecing together fragments of a shared history. When he looked up, there was an intensity in his gaze that made Emma's heart race. If this is true, we have to dig deeper. There's a lot we still don't know. Are you sure you want to go down this path? She asked, a hint of doubt creeping in. What if it brings up things we're not ready for? We can't run from it, Emma. His words were steady, laced with determination. We owe it to ourselves. To our families. It's time to uncover the truth, no matter how daunting it may be. As they stood together, uncertainty mingled with anticipation. Emma felt a flicker of something new, an inkling of belonging that had long eluded her. This was a chance to forge a bond, one that could withstand the pressure of whatever revelations lay ahead. Just then, a soft giggle echoed from the children's rooms. The sound reminded Emma of the innocence that sometimes got lost in adult matters. She glanced back at Mr. Harrington, a silent question in her eyes. What if this changes things for them? He nodded, understanding where her heart lay. Then we will ensure the truth does not taint their joy. We'll find a way. As they stood there, united by an intricate tapestry of families, secrets, and possibilities, Emma felt hope bloom in her chest. But there was still so much to uncover. Would they learn to guide the children through this new revelation? As Mr. Harrington folded the letter carefully, Emma sensed that this was only the beginning. What other truths lay buried, waiting to be unearthed? And in that silence, a gentle breeze swept through the hallway, carrying whispers of the past and the promise of a future yet to be written. The following days felt surreal to Emma. The attention on the letter seemed to pull her deeper into a pool of unease, yet excitement bubbled beneath the surface. Every moment spent alone with Mr. Harrington turned into a quiet exploration of their shared past. They sifted through boxes in the attic, old photographs and artifacts mingling with dust and memories. Each document seemed to tell a fragment of a tale they never knew they were part of. Mr. Harrington had become a steadfast presence by her side, his determination to uncover the truth a soothing balm for her restless heart. Look at this, he said one afternoon, holding up an old photograph, its corners yellowed with age. It was a picture of their parents, all smiles on a sunny day at the park. Their young faces were filled with the sort of joy that could only come from friendship. We have to learn more about this. Emma leaned in, her heart skipping. They were so close. How did we not know? We were just kids, he replied softly, meeting her gaze. We never asked the right questions. The laughter from the children rang through the house like a sweet melody, a reminder of the innocence they fought so hard to protect. Emma felt the weight of the past and future settling on her shoulders. Could she trust that the journey into their family's history would shield the children from the truth? Yet, she couldn't shake the thought that they deserved to know. One evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of orange and lavender, Emma plucked up her courage. We should tell them, she said, glancing over at Mr. Harrington after tucking the children into bed. "Do you think they'll understand?" he asked, his voice tight with concern. "What if they don't?" she whispered, her heart hammering in her chest. "If it's in the open, they will learn the truth, even if it's hard. Just like we are," he assured her. She nodded, swallowing hard. It was frightening, but also liberating. Together, then. Together. Always. Despite their resolve, that moment felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, staring into an unknown void. As they prepared for the next day, Emma couldn't shake the lingering questions. How would the children interpret their findings? Would it bring comfort or confusion? The next day came faster than she expected. They arranged a family meeting, gathering the kids in the parlor, the atmosphere dense with unspoken tension. Emma and Mr. Harrington shared a quick glance, a silent exchange of determination and reassurance. "Okay, everyone," Emma began, her voice steady but her heart racing. "We have something important to talk about." The little ones eyed them curiously, oblivious to the weight of the moment. Mr. Harrington stepped forward. "Emma found something that connects our families. It's a lot, and it's important." He looked at her with a warmth that gave her strength. Suddenly, a commotion erupted as one child pointed, eyes wide with delight. "Look at the puppy." The interruption took the air out of the room. And Emma couldn't help but chuckle, released from the heaviness for just a moment. But as quickly as the tension broke, it returned. She cleared her throat. "Right. Well, in our families, there's a long history we didn't know about, lines that tie us together. It's something we need to understand as we grow." The children exchanged glances, confusion written on their small faces. Emma felt a knot tighten in her stomach, unsure if this was the right approach. "We can still be a family, no matter what our past holds." But as their faces slowly brightened, Emma realized there was more to be said. Would they see this shared history as a bridge or a barrier? The sound of laughter interrupted her thoughts again, and as the children began to chatter among themselves, a flicker of hope danced within her. But then came an unexpected knock at the door, echoing through the room, silencing the children. They looked towards the sound, breaths held in anticipation. Who could that be? Mr. Harrington wondered aloud, exchanging a wary glance with Emma. As the door creaked open, a figure, silhouetted against the fading light, stepped into the room. And in that moment, Emma felt the air shift, the weight of another secret hanging just out of sight. What new revelation was about to unfold? The figure stepped fully into the room, revealing a woman with a familiar face that both shocked and intrigued Emma. Her heart raced as she recognized her from the old photographs, the woman with warm eyes and a soft smile, a figure who had once been so integral to their parents. "Emma." "Mr. Harrington," she greeted softly, her voice a gentle melody that seemed to weave through the heavy silence. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "Miss Clara?" Emma breathed out, her surprise mingling with disbelief. The woman had been a ghost in their past, someone they had talked about, but never fully understood. "Sorry to intrude," Clara continued, glancing at the children who were staring wide-eyed, "but I just had this feeling I needed to come here today. It's important." Emma exchanged another glance with Mr. Harrington, a mix of anticipation and dread written on their faces. "We were just about to discuss some family history," Emma began, words escaping her as she tried to compose her thoughts. "I know," Clara said, her voice steady. "And I think it's time you knew more." The children shifted in their seats, an unspoken question hanging in the air. Emma took a deep breath, trying to gather her emotions, the stories tangled in her mind like loose threads. "Who are you to our families?" With a smile that dimmed any tension, Clara stepped further in. "I was your mother's best friend. And I was there for many of the moments that shaped both your lives." The children looked back and forth between Clara and their parents, a mixture of curiosity and excitement lighting their young faces. Emma felt a warmth spread in her chest. Perhaps this meeting was just what they needed to bridge the gap between past and present. When your families first met, it was like magic, Clara began, her eyes sparkling with nostalgia. Your mothers were inseparable, dreaming of the futures ahead. They spoke about you too, and how precious their bond would be. Tears pricked at the corners of Emma's eyes as she listened, a ghost of a connection sparking inside. After they passed, I promised to watch over you both, Clara continued. I moved away, thinking that distance would help me heal, but I never stopped caring. The letter you found, it was meant to bring you closer to this story. I've held on to so much of it, hoping to tell you one day. The air thickened with emotion. Why didn't you come sooner? Emma found her voice, tinged with hurt. We needed you. I was afraid, Clara admitted, her expression shifting. Afraid you wouldn't want to know me. Afraid of dredging up old ghosts. Mr. Harrington stepped closer to Emma, squeezing her hand as she battled a swirl of anger and confusion. Would this revelation help them understand their families, or would it introduce more complications? Clara's vulnerable honesty pierced through the tangle of emotions. A connection was forming, but it was fragile, balanced on the edge of trust. The children, watching wide-eyed, were silent now, feeling the gravity of the moment. One of them, a small girl with messy curls, finally spoke up. Are you going to tell us a story? In that moment, Emma was reminded of the innocence they were striving to protect. She nodded at Clara, seeing the potential behind this unexpected visit. Yes. I think we all need to hear everything. As Clara began to weave the tales of their families, a dense cloud of uncertainty began to drift away. Emma felt a flicker of hope again, a chance to rewrite not just the past but the future. Yet as Clara spoke, the door creaked again behind her, and a low murmured exchange caught everyone's attention. Another figure stood at the threshold, this one the silhouette of a man. The revelation felt unfinished, as if yet another secret lurked in the shadows. Emma's heart raced again, sensing that this was far from over. Who was waiting in the dark, and what new truth would they bring to light? Clara paused mid-sentence as the door creaked open wider, her eyes darting toward the figure now stepping fully into the room. The atmosphere shifted again, and the children instinctively drew closer to each other, sensing the tension rising. Who is that? Emma whispered, her heart pounding. The silhouette materialized into a tall man with hesitant steps, his face shrouded by the dim light. Raphael. Clara breathed, a mix of surprise and relief washing over her features. What are you doing here? The man, now revealed as Raphael, looked around, his expressive eyes catching every detail amidst the chaos of emotions. I sensed something was happening. I hope I didn't intrude, he said, his voice deep yet tender. Nothing felt settled anymore. Emma felt a surge of confusion as Clara and Raphael exchanged a knowing glance. It was clear that their appearances were intertwined in ways that transcended the moment. Both of them bore the weight of shared history, and Emma couldn't help but wonder how deep their connection ran. Do you know him? She asked Clara, her voice a mixture of skepticism and intrigue. Clara nodded slowly, her gaze softening. Raphael has been part of this story too. He was there for your parents when they needed support most. Then, she turned to him and added, I was just about to share everything. Raphael took a step forward, his presence calming the restive atmosphere. You deserve to know all of it. Your families went through so much, and it ties us all together. Emma's breath caught in her throat. The weight of their past began to dawn on her, an intricate tapestry of intertwined lives fraught with heartache and unspoken words. She needed to understand. Can you help us put the pieces together? The children, suddenly riveted, leaned forward in their seats. Raphael glanced over at them, and a small smile broke the serious tension. It transformed his rugged face into something warmer, more inviting. Absolutely. The stories of your parents are filled with both tragedy and hope. They taught me about love, something that was difficult for them to embrace. Emma's heart ached at the thought of her parents, lost yet so intrinsic to this interconnected narrative. As Raphael began to speak, an unexpected quiet fell over the room. His first words were gentle, painting scenes of laughter spilled across sunlit fields, summer picnics, and the bonds that had flourished despite trials. It became apparent that Clara and Raphael carried pieces of that shared past, stories that would help bridge the chasm left by loss. Together, they were here to help reassemble the fragments of her childhood and highlight the threads that had tied their families to one another. Yet, with every word, it felt like unearthing buried truths. Emma's mind raced. If understanding their family history was the goal, there was still so much to unearth. Would there be secrets that were better left hidden? Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted again. Outside, a distant thunder rumbled, rumbling like the storm of emotions swirling inside her. Emma clutched her arms to concentrate on Raphael's voice, but her thoughts strayed towards darker possibilities. Just as she was about to ask Raphael another question, a loud crash echoed from the room next door, and they all froze. Silence enveloped them for a brief moment before the reality struck like a lightning bolt. What or who was lurking in the other room? Would this new distraction take them away from the stories they desperately needed to hear? A mix of fear and curiosity surged through Emma. She turned to Mr. Harrington, clenching her jaw. What if there is something more to uncover? The air was thick with suspense as they stood on the precipice, ready to venture deeper into the unknown. An unraveling mystery awaited, and the shadows continued to whisper. But what were they about to discover? Emma's heart raced as she exchanged nervous glances with the others. The weight of silence pressed heavily in the room, each second suspended in time as they processed the crash. Clara instinctively placed a hand on Emma's shoulder, grounding her in the moment. "Stay here," Raphael instructed, his voice firm yet soothing. His eyes flickered with a determination that sparked a flicker of hope in Emma's chest. He moved toward the door, the shadows casting long, eerie shapes around him, but there was a strength in his stride. "No. Please don't go alone." Emma's voice broke, fear spilling out. She didn't want to lose this connection with their past, not when it felt so close. Clara stepped forward, the worry etched on her face mirroring Emma's. "I'll go with you," she said, voice steady. There wasn't time to question if that was the right choice, their instinct to protect one another took over. "Wait!" Emma called out, something deep inside urging her to pause. "What if it's dangerous?" Raphael turned back, eyes softening at Emma's concern. "We have to know what's happening. I promise, we'll be okay. Stay right here and keep an eye on the kids," he reassured her, not dismissing her fears but acknowledging the truth behind them. As the two disappeared into the dim hallway, Emma felt a swell of emotion. She was left with a profound sense of emptiness, knowing that whatever lay behind those walls might change everything they were learning about their families. The room felt like it was closing in. Emma felt the heavy breaths of the children beside her, their wide eyes reflecting the uncertainty hanging in the air. What if they don't come back? One of the younger kids squeaked, breaking the silence. "Don't say that," another child whispered, crossing their arms as if to ward off the thoughts looming above them. The minutes dragged on, turning into an eternity. Each tick of the old clock reverberated in Emma's chest. She had so many questions swirling in her mind, the pull between fear and curiosity overwhelming. What are they going to find? Emma finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The children turned to her, waiting for answers as if she had any. "I don't know," she admitted, wishing she had the comfort of certainty. "But I do know that we've got to stick together," she tried to reassure them. Just then, as if the universe was playing a cruel joke, the lights flickered overhead. The shadows danced around them, causing the children to huddle closer. She took a deep breath, desperately mulling over the snippets of stories Raphael had begun to share. What truths were tangled in the past? They began to unravel like a loose thread, and Emma realized that the truth could be both beautiful and terrifying. And it was still waiting, just behind that door. Suddenly, a scream shattered the uneasy quiet, piercing through the air like glass breaking. Emma's heart jolted. It came from the direction where Clara and Raphael had gone. "Clara!" she shouted, panic rising like bile in her throat. The other kids stared at her wide-eyed, and Emma didn't know what to feel. She couldn't just stand there. Driven by fear and determination, she was about to make a choice she didn't quite understand, but she knew deep down that it was a choice they had to make. "Let us go," Emma urged, adrenaline flooding through her veins. They all needed to face what lay ahead together. But as they moved forward, something deep inside Emma whispered, what if the truth they hunted was more dangerous than they ever imagined? Emma led the kids down the dim corridor, a deep sense of dread pooling in her stomach. Each step echoed like a drumbeat against the silence, matched only by the quickening thud of her heart. They moved as a collective, small hands gripping each other tightly as they forged onward. The flickering lights overhead cast erratic shadows, and every noise, every creak of the old building sent jolts of fear through them. Emma glanced back at the children, seeing the mix of worry and determination on their faces. They were small but brave, leaning on the flicker of hope she was trying hard to hold on to. "Stay close," she murmured, her voice cracking slightly, the fear creeping back in. "We're almost there." Then they reached the end of the hall, where the door stood ajar. Shadows danced around its edges in the flickering light, creating a scene straight out of a nightmare. Emma pushed down her instincts to run away and instead nudged the door open just enough to peek inside. The air inside the room smelled musty and ancient, the remnants of memories long buried. As she stepped into the room, chills raced down her spine. A cold draft brushed against her skin, which felt all too familiar, echoing whispers of loss and sorrow. "Clara? Raphael?" she called softly, hoping her voice didn't sound as frightened as she felt. At first, there was no response, only the echo of her words bouncing off the walls. But then, faintly, she heard a voice, a faint, shaky whisper. "Emma?" It was Clara. Relief surged through her, but it was mixed with anxiety. "Where are you?" "Over here. I think something has happened." Emma turned to the source of the voice, urgency propelling her forward. The room was dimly lit, but as her eyes adjusted, she spotted Clara and Raphael near an old, overturned table. Papers were strewn everywhere, and Clara's face was ashen. "What happened?" Emma asked, fear lacing her voice. "Something's wrong with the archives." There's something written here," Clara replied, pointing to a piece of paper that lay partially hidden beneath the debris. Emma bent down, heart racing. The words were scrawled in haste, and the ink was smudged, but she could still make out parts of it: family secrets lost, danger. "What does this mean?" she breathed, feeling a deepening sense of dread. "We don't know," Raphael said, his brow furrowed. "But this paper isn't just any document. It holds stories, lives hidden away. I felt something when I touched it, like a weight. We have to figure this out." The children were peeking in from the doorway, the energy in the air pulsating with dread and expectation. Emma wanted to pull them away, keep them safe from whatever darkness loomed over this discovery, but she also felt an unshakable pull to uncover the truth. Just then, the lights flickered violently, plunging the room into darkness. A whirring sound began to fill the air, and the children gasped in unison, pressing against Emma for comfort. "Emma!" Clara shouted, her panic rising. "We need to leave now." But before she could process the urgency of the moment, a soft light began to glow from the paper they had discovered. It shimmered, illuminating the words on the page, and Emma felt her breath hitch. What lay before them could change everything they knew or lead them to an unspeakable truth. "Whatever it is, we have to face it together," Emma whispered, determination swelling in her chest once more. But before they could act, another voice echoed through the air, a low whisper that seemed to emanate from the shadows, chilling them to their bones. "Welcome, to the legacy of your past." Emma fought the urge to tremble. She realized then that they were on the brink of something beyond them, something that would pull them deeper into the mysteries of their families and their own identities. What lay beneath the surface was only beginning to unfurl. And with that, a new question hung in the air: could they handle the truth without losing each other? The glow from the paper grew brighter, illuminating the faces around Emma. The children huddled close, tinged with fear and curiosity, their youthful innocence stark against the weight of the moment. Clara's breath came in quick bursts, her eyes reflecting a mix of dread and determination, while Raphael stood steady, his expression calm yet alert. Emma took a deep breath, grounding herself as the whispers echoed in the room. "We can face this together," she declared, her voice steady despite the tumult inside her. It felt right to stand united, to confront whatever awaited them head-on. "Together," Clara echoed, glancing at Raphael. He nodded, determination etched on his face. "This is our moment. The past won't define us. We're stronger than these shadows." The children's eyes widened, their small hands clutching one another as they absorbed the gravity of the situation. They sensed the importance of the moment, sparks of bravery igniting within their young hearts. Emma could see the flickers of hope blooming, ready to push against the uncertainties. As they moved closer to the glowing paper, the whispers intensified, swirling around them like a tempest. "What does it mean?" one of the children whispered, her voice shaking. Emma gently knelt down, beckoning the kids closer so they could all see. "It holds secrets, stories that connect our families," she said softly, her gaze fixed on the shimmering text. "It's time to uncover them." With a long exhale, she focused on the words, allowing the history to wash over her. As she read aloud, the text revealed connections that transcended wealth and status, stories of laughter, sorrow, forgiveness, and resilience that drew their ancestors inseparably together. "They faced adversity much like we do," Emma emphasized, glancing around at the children, trying to weave the lessons into their hearts. "Their bond is proof that we can overcome anything, even when the odds are against us." The room vibrated with understanding, and the children leaned in closer, the fear in their eyes replaced by wonder. As Emma continued, she felt her heart swell, realizing that the ties binding them were not merely historical, they were alive, tangible, resonating through their very souls. Just then, Raphael broke in, excitement mixed with caution. "This paper isn't just information, it's our first step towards healing. There may be old wounds between our families, but it's in our power to mend them, to show future generations that unity can blossom from adversity." Clara nodded, her eyes gleaming with tears of belief and hope. "We can create a new legacy," she stated. "Let us become the guardians of these memories, not just for ourselves but for those who follow in our footsteps." As the children watched, captivated by the vision unfolding before their eyes, Emma felt a rush of resolve. This wasn't about their past anymore. It was about the future they could build together. Raphael took a step forward, his voice firm. "We need to share this truth with the rest of the family, help them understand why we can't let fear keep us apart anymore." Emma's heart raced. "Right, we should gather everyone." The dim flicker of hope was now a blazing fire igniting within her. They were ready to face whatever lay ahead, there was strength in their unity. Together, they would rewrite their shared story, turning the page on years of separation. As they turned to exit the room, Emma caught a glimpse of the glowing paper one last time. It shimmered like a beacon, guiding them through the darkness. She knew they had to act swiftly, embracing the uncertain, beautiful journey ahead. With renewed determination, they moved forward, hearts aligned, ready to face their families and reclaim the narrative that had once seemed lost. As they reached the gathering area, the atmosphere was still thick with tension. Emma knew it was time for the weight of their history to finally be shared. She faced the gathering, her heart steady. "Everyone, listen. We've uncovered something that will change everything." And as she began to share the secrets of their past, the light draping over them began to soften the edges of many burdens. It was like peeling an onion, layer by layer, revealing the essence that lay beneath. The children's laughter echoed as they began to understand the power of unity. There were tears, but also laughter, moments to embrace and release. Emma felt a swell of joy rise in her chest, flooding through her like warm sunshine after rain. Together they faced the shadows, together they embraced the light, and it became evident that this was just the beginning of something incredibly beautiful, something worth exploring deeply. As the night drew to a close, a collective sigh of relief washed over them. Vulnerable yet empowered, they were ready to take their place in a new story, one that celebrated family, connection, and love above all else. And as they looked out into the horizon, each heart pulsated with a new kind of hope, knowing full well they would never face life's uncertainties alone again. This was the moment that history, past pain, and future promise converged into a beautiful tapestry of love and resilience. The legacy had begun anew. Now, if you felt this transformation with Emma and her family, it's time to make your voice heard. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that tug at your heartstrings. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow this amazing community. Comment below about your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful transformation. Let us spread this uplifting message together.